Oh, you're going to notice that I'm wearing the same shirt as I did in the last video, and that's because I decided to make two videos on the same day, so therefore I'm wearing the same shirt as I was wearing in the first video. It happens. Like I've said in videos before, this is like my only time to really have privacy. I'm always surrounded by someone or something during my day that it's nice to have a moment of just peace and tranquility. So that's kind of when I want to make these videos, is when I have that. And my drive is usually like an hour total, depending, give or take. So having the drive to be able to make these comes in handy, you know. And these videos can be cathartic for me. So, anyway, what I wanted to talk about in this video is just kind of like some changes I've been making. Kind of an update. I used to do an update when I used to post these vlogs more frequently until I deleted them all. I have a couple friends that kind of poked me jokingly and like, why you keep deleting stuff? And I don't know, just, I do. But yeah, so I've been working really hard the last few months, well, technically the last like 5 years, to make changes, habits and personality traits and stuff. One of the things I've really been working hard on is just catching myself before I act. Sometimes I can let things get to me. Oh, it's a flock camera. Fuck flock. That doesn't count. That's something that I'm absolutely happy about being upset about. But just trying to make changes to better myself and also just be more respectful of people, you know, because it's not that hard. It doesn't cost you anything to just be kind to people. And I believe that you're able to have your beliefs, you're able to have your opinions, as long as you're not forcing them on people and you're not hurting people with what you believe. I don't think, you know, everyone's different. Everyone's human. We all have ways we look at things. As long as you're not hurting people, I really don't care who you are or what you believe. Problem is, a lot of people have those beliefs and mindsets that don't think they're hurting people, but they really are hurting people. But that's a topic for another time. This video is about me. And just like all these changes I've been making with my personality and my mental health and what have you, to try to be a better person, you know. I haven't always been the best person. I've done some things, I've said some things, I've messed up a lot in my life. I've made a lot of mistakes. And as a good friend has told me, he said that, you know, you're going to make mistakes. One of the things I keep apologizing to him for is he was my teacher in high school. And I keep apologizing to him about how I felt like I was a dick in high school and I didn't take things seriously, you know, and I wish I would have been better to him. And he keeps telling me, like, you were a kid, you were in high school. I did the same things when I was in high school. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I should have been more aware of what I was doing. Like, I, to some degree, wish I could just blame everything on how I was raised, right? Like, I was indoctrinated into certain beliefs and mindsets growing up. But at the end of the day, it was me performing these actions, saying these things, doing these things. And it took a long time to get over certain things. Certain ways I believed and certain things that I approached and how I approached it. One of the things about me that I'm still working on, because you have to have a balance with it, is how seriously you take instructions. I don't want to talk about my current job, but I used to work security for 10 years. And just the work ethic that my grandpa instilled on me is, if you're paid to do a job, you do the job. If you don't like it, tough luck. Get a different job if you don't like it. And for the most part, I agree with that mindset. I mean, there's nuance to that considering the current job market and some other stuff. I won't really get into that right now. What I will touch on is, for me personally, I've lived that mindset for the most part. If I'm paid to do a job, I'm going to do it. And I worked security for 10 years. And part of security is enforcing rules, right? You can only enforce them to some degree, but that's part of the job. So I took that seriously because that's how I was instilled with a work ethic, was you take things seriously. If you're told to do it, that's what you do. So I did everything. If the rules of such and such told me that I needed to tell this and that to do that and this, I would do it. No second guessing, I would do it. I was that asshole. I was the mall cop. You know what I mean? And I didn't think anything of it. I thought I was just doing my job. Like, that's what I was paid to do. So I worked at a mall, a local mall, and my boss was one of the best bosses I've ever worked for. Another person I wish I would have taken more seriously when I worked for them, but I was too blind at the time. But I learned a lot from him. He sat me down one day. He sat me down a lot. I made a lot of errors. Some my own, some because of my work ethic. Anyway, I was in the office a lot. I'm surprised he never fired me. I think because he knew deep down that I wanted to learn, because I was always susceptible to him teaching me things. Anyway, what I mean is, like, he sat me down one day because I was one of those people, security officers, who, if you parked in the handicap spot, you didn't have anything indicating you were handicapped, and I didn't see you get out of the vehicle handicapped or something, I'd write you a ticket. Now, were our tickets kind of meaningless? They were more just warnings? Yes. But I was doing it all the time. If you double parked, I was writing you a ticket. If you parked on the red curb, I was writing you a ticket. Yes, these were just warnings. We couldn't actually do much unless it was detrimental, and then we could call the tow truck company who could do something. We couldn't. But I was writing them left and right. I probably went through a notepad and a half the entire time I worked at the mall. So one day, my boss calls me into the office, and he's like, "Hey, Mark, I need to talk to you." I'm like, "What do they do now?" And he's like, "So we need to teach you how to pick your battles, right?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Everything you do here at the mall is appreciated, but you're pissing too many people off." I'm like, what do you mean? I'm just doing what I was hired to do." He's like, "Yeah, but you gotta pick your battles. Not everything needs to be a writable offense or what have you, And we had a decent, probably half an hour long conversation about it, where if somebody's just parked over the line, they're an asshole. But I'm going out of my way to do what? Write them a meaningless ticket? Worthless, right? It's a waste of my time. I recognize that now that I had this conversation with my boss, but at the time, it didn't make sense for a while. And, we had multiple conversations about it where it didn't make sense. Just because somebody double parked doesn't mean they deserve a ticket. They're still an asshole, don't get me wrong, but there's better use of my time and resources than sitting and writing double parking tickets all day. And he explained that to me. And after this half-hour conversation, he's like, "I think you still got more you need to learn." So he went out and walked the floor with me. We walked around the mall a few times, and we still talked for probably another half an hour, He's teaching me all these things, telling me about all these things, how I need to approach things with a little bit more of a kid glove. Not everything's a problem. Stuff that's going to be like safety issues, sure, but if somebody forgot to put their handicap placard up and you could see it in the vehicle, don't write them a ticket. I was that guy. For the sake of this video and the argument, I was. If I didn't see a placard, it wasn't visible, you got a ticket, bud. But that's just part of what he taught me about how, you don't have to approach every situation with this authority. yes, security officers to some degree are an authority figure, but not everything needs to be approached like that, you know? And to some degree, that mindset hurt me a little bit too, because when I worked at the casino doing security, I finally instilled this whole, like, not everything needs to be approached kind of situation, and I was constantly getting called from surveillance or my boss saying, like, hey, how come you didn't do this? And I'd be like, well, it didn't seem important. Dude, so short tangent. One day surveillance calls me on the radio and they say, hey, we need you to go check out this guy in this section, get his ID. I'm like, is he stealing or something? Like, can you just go ID him? Okay. They gave me the description. Well, they didn't really give me the description of the guy. They gave me the description of they know, like, the bank of machines and what machine number and stuff. So I'm about probably like 100 feet away from the guy. I radio back surveillance. I'm like, you sure you want me to make contact with this guy? And like, the one right there at bank such and such. I'm like, yeah, I'm looking right at him. Like, I don't think so. So, dude is about as obviously part of the cartel as you could be. And I say that with sincerity. I'm not trying to piss people off. This dude obviously was in something. I was not going to mess with that. No way. I learned my lesson working at the mall. Some things you just don't mess with. You pick your battles. I straight up told surveillance, like, I'm not making contact. If you want somebody else to make contact, I'll back them up. I'm not making contact. I just know. I know better. So they didn't have anybody, I guess. So I had to pull somebody off one of their posts to come make contact, because I was the only one on the floor at the time. And, it was a mess. And I don't know. We ended up making contact. The guy I brought over was the one to lead the charge. Everything went fine, but I was like, I just don't think we have to do this, you know? Like, I had instilled in me, pick your battles. So it's like, this is one of those things where it's just kind of like, why? Are we just IDing him because of who he is? Like, what's that term? I'm pretty sure I learned this when I trained to be a security officer. Profiling. That's profiling, right? I kind of did it by explaining who this guy was, yes, but I'm trying to make a point, like, surveillance wanted me to make contact with this guy purely because of how he looked. If I would have walked by that bank of machines on my own without surveillance ever telling me anything, I would have been like, yeah, it looks like people are gambling at a casino. What they do, why they ask you to do these things, is because casinos have what's called excluded patrons. At least in California, they're patrons that have been kicked out for whatever reason. Whether they've done violent things, or they've gotten frisky, or they've excluded themselves because of gambling addictions. Basically, they're not allowed in the casino, and they are trespassing. So anytime surveillance sees somebody that might look like somebody that's excluded, or somebody up in the clouds looking at the cameras is like, that guy looks familiar, they usually wanted us to make contact and determine whether or not that person was supposed to be here or not. And honestly, I don't know. They had some weird policies. I don't want to talk too much shit, but they had some weird policies, man. Like, one of the things that they're really big about is ticket mining. So what ticket mining entails, part of what ticket mining entails is, say there's 4 cents left on a machine, because for whatever reason a person left 4 cents on the machine. It could be just because they didn't want to withdraw the 4 cents, they didn't want to bother with it, what have you. They couldn't bet that 4 cents. All be told, 4 cents was left on the machine. Now, if somebody walks up to that machine and they withdraw that ticket, or they play over that ticket or something, or they put their money in the machine and then withdraw, that's called ticket mining. Or that's a part of ticket mining. There's more to it, but that's one part of ticket mining. There was probably an 80-year-old woman that did that one day. Probably inadvertently. I can almost, I'm not saying that all old people are innocent, but I can almost guarantee you this lady had no harm, no foul in her heart. Ended up taking the ticket out of the machine, was like 4 cents or something. I don't remember the exact number. But surveillance calls me. They want me to make contact with this old lady and ask her if she had played on the machine or blah, blah, blah. Even though surveillance knows, they still want you to make contact. I'm like, I'm not going to make contact with an 80-year-old lady for ticket mining. Come on. Like, is this really what we're supposed to be doing with our time and resources? Like, there's probably worse things happening where we need to be doing that. It's just, no, I'm not making... Let's just say I got a lot of insubordination complaints. Just certain things are just stupid. They're ludicrous. So, I was at the casino. I was one of the only EMTs on shift. Not EMT. I was a ERT or whatever we called it. Basically, I didn't have EMT certification, but I had like first aid and what have you, and I helped out when there was medicals. Well, we were short-staffed one day, and the EMT trained security officer needed help with a medical, and he called whoever could on the radio to come help out. I was pretty much the only one that had any sort of training for that, so I came to the scene. Well, you know where I came from? I came from a post. I was posted at a door. So I get in trouble, of course. I get a written warning about leaving my post. And I explained, like, you just had an officer call for help for a medical situation, and I was the only one that could help. And I'm getting in trouble because I left the door. Like, that's what surveillance is for. Like, fuck, we can't tackle people, so what the fuck? If somebody comes through the door that's not supposed to be there, I can't do anything anyways. So you know what? Nah, I don't feel bad about going and helping my fellow officer help out with a medical situation. Like, nah, fuck that. It's just certain policies don't make sense. And I don't know if that's because I'm jaded, or if it's because of that conversation I had with the boss that I had at the mall. I don't know. But certain things got me in trouble because I got into that mindset, like, that's a waste of my time. Waste of my time. I don't know. I don't want to get too wrapped up in that. I went off on a huge tangent about updates. So I'll have to try to make this as quick as possible. I might just do like a story time. I might start making videos, stories of my life. Anyway, the last 3 months have been pretty particular for me as far as changes. I made a lot of mental changes and stuff, but I really needed to start cracking down on my physical health. Because, I mean, you can tell from these videos, I'm not exactly skinny. It's in the face, you can definitely tell I got some poundage. So I have worked the last couple months just working on a diet of sorts. I don't want to necessarily say diet, because it's not really a diet. It's just more so making different habits as far as food and what have you go. I'm 2 months, well, more than 2 months without fast food, caffeine, and soda. I've cut those out completely. I mean, well, fast food is nuanced because I don't personally consider things like Subway and Chipotle and Panda Express fast food because they prepare it right there. Whereas things like McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, Jack in the Box, all that, yeah, that's 100% fast food. I would even say gas station food fits in fast food. So that's like the stuff I've cut out, right? Super greasy food, which the other stuff, it can be greasy too, but like the super greasy stuff, really, really bad for you. Soda sucked. and it still sucks because every once in a while I get an itching for a Dr. Pepper, man. I really like Dr. Pepper, and not being able to have a Dr. Pepper sucks. The first couple weeks, I was still drinking caffeine, so at the time, so cutting soda was hard. It actually started. I'm confusing myself. So, over 2 months without those things. The hardest thing to cut out was sugar. And by sugar, I mean like added sugars and stuff. I still get sugar to some degree with certain products. I haven't cut that out completely. What I mostly mean by that is like I'm not going and getting donuts and cookies and brownies and M&Ms and licorice and stuff. Oh God, I miss licorice. I wish licorice wasn't bad for you. At least the candy stuff anyways, because that was my favorite candy. But I finally got over that a couple weeks ago. I finally got off the sugar. And then the caffeine was like the last thing I really needed to cut other than the sugar. So I'm about a month without caffeine now. Or no, I'm two months without caffeine. I'm confusing myself. Between 3 months ago and now, I've cut all that stuff out. I do still get caffeine because I get decaf coffee, but it's so minimal that it doesn't really count. But sugar was the hardest one. That's only been within the last couple weeks that I've finally cut out sugar. Now, what did I do with all that? Last week, I finally got back into the gym. Wednesday, I went and signed up for a membership, and I went back on Monday. I'm going to go Monday, Wednesday. I was going to start with 2 days a week just so I can get back into it, get in the swing of things. I went on Monday. I'm still sore. I did the elliptical. My knees hurt, so I don't know what I'm going to do today. I don't know if I'm going to just do the elliptical again. I don't know if that's a smart idea. Maybe I should do something else, cardio or calisthenics. But I finally got back into the gym. All this stuff that I had to do prior, I had to do before I went back to the gym. Because I knew if I got back to the gym, I'm going to be more tempted to have the shitty stuff. I know, because the last time I went to the gym, every time I get off work, I would say, well, I'm having chicken nuggets at Burger King, but they're chicken nuggets, so that's healthy, right? And like, no. So I had to do all these dieting things and change my eating habits and such, and drinking habits before I went back to the gym. Because I knew it would be that much harder to do once I got back to the gym. And then I also knew that if I'm going to the gym and I'm still eating fast food and I'm still having all these sweets and I'm still drinking soda, I'm never going to lose weight. And that's all I really want, is to lose weight. I know losing weight comes with gaining some muscle here and there. I don't care about that. I want to lose weight. And I'm hoping I can lose 30 pounds by the end of the year. I'm 330 right now. I've lost 5 pounds in the last couple months just because of some of the changes I've made. But I'm hoping I can get to 300 by the end of the year. I think that's attainable. If I can stay consistent with what I'm doing, I can definitely lose weight. Because I've already lost some. My weight's fluctuated a lot, but I'm starting to actually be on the downslope now. So as long as I keep up with what I'm doing and try to go to the gym twice a week at the very least, once I get more into the swing of the things with the gym, I'm going to probably go more frequently. I'll probably go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then if I start seeing or feeling results, I'm going to probably go more frequently and just switch what I'm doing every day. Because right now, all my friends have told me you start with cardio. So I've been focusing on cardio. So once I get to the point where I'm pretty good with the cardio, I'll start adding more stuff. Once I'm feeling good and not feeling sore going to the gym, I'll start adding in weightlifting and what have you. But for now, I'm just going to take it slow. I don't want to burn myself out too easily, or too quickly, I mean. So I'll start slow. And then I want to reward myself at the end of the year. If I can if I can make it to the end of the year and actually lose the 30 pounds I want to lose, I'm going to get a better gym. Right now I'm just doing Planet Fitness because it's like $25 a month. I didn't want to buy a giant gym membership if I didn't think I was going to go all the time. So if I can get down to 300 pounds, I'll reward myself with a bigger gym. There's one not too far from work that's got a bunch of amenities I like the sauna and stuff. So that's how I'll reward myself for making it to 300 pounds. But I got to get to that point first. That's my goal. I think it's attainable. I can do it. It's gonna be hard. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say, "Oh yeah, it's easy." It's hard. It's hard to remain consistent. It's hard to keep up with things. It's hard to not let stuff bring you down. I should make a whole video on motivation and depression and anxiety and what have you. I was diagnosed with ADD finally, so that's cool. So I have long-term depression and ADD. Maybe all these changes will start kicking in soon, especially now that I'm finally going back to the gym and I can at least work harder on the depression side of things, you know what I mean? Yeah. Lost my train of thought. That's the downside to not writing what you're gonna say, just saying it out loud. Anyway, that's it. That's the update I'll make for now. I might do more later. Alright. Peace.